What's up, guys? It's Spiderwolf back for another JJKPhantomparade video. So it's finally time for the long-awaited video. At least maybe for some of you. So our boy Gojo, the main expansion Gojo, is finally coming out later tonight. Actually, when this video gets uploaded, kind of run things a little tight here because I passed the fuck out last night. But anyways, besides that, before we get started, I would really appreciate you guys drop a like, comment, subscribe. I mean, you're here, it only takes 2 clicks. It is free after all. But with that being said, though, let's continue. So, we got our boy, confirmed Gojo and his recollection bit, which we will be going over in this video, as well as a free 10 multi. Always love these. Don't always get these, but we get them for the most part every now and then. Of course, we're also getting this new outfit for Gojo as well. So if you guys are interested in picking this up, it will be available to buy. And of course, it does have a new lobby artwork change for the animation. Also, it changed the ultimate, and also his regular animations because he's wearing this new outfit, right? Me personally, I'm not going to pick it up because I think it's probably going to be a little too priced, but if you guys are interested, there you guys go. Anyways, I'm back to the tier list because or not back, but to the tier list on the JJK wiki here. Gojo originally, before Sukuna did come out, he was, I think he was either an S, he was an triple S tier, and then I think he got bumped down to double S, but now it looks like he got bumped down again to S tier. But he used to be like a really good DPS character for Red Team. But now it looks like, some people maybe got some buffs or whatever, so he's not as nearly as good. But he's still like a really strong red character that does, or he does a lot of damage for red characters, basically what I'm trying to say. I'm not just overall just the damage either, even though he's more of a support character. But with that being said, though, of course, he's a triple S support, right? It's triple S support, which if you really think about it, right, that might mean that we might be getting, since we just got support damage with Sukuna, we might be seeing some triple S, specialist kind of character, right? That maybe play some sort of debuff or some sort of like gimmick or whatever. But yeah, basically he's the best support in the game. And for our current time being, will be like one of the best DPSs in the game up until Sukuna, right? And then eventually kind of gets bumped down with like some buffs and all that. But regardless, let's take a look at what this boy does. So he is more so doing physical damage. And he does do Jujutsu, but they're almost evened out a little bit. They're almost evened out. He can Black Flash. Now, his characteristic, he will leave the field once urgent business count reaches 0, and then increases his own stats when Black Flash is performed. Now, that's the one downside about this Gojo and all Gojos from the current timeline or whatever, or like from the present time in the story, whereas like in the past, like Teen Gojo, right, he doesn't have that debuff. The reason, like all these Gojos, right, like the newer ones, right, in the present time, have this like gimmick where they will leave after certain amount of turns. However, the one nice thing about this Gojo is that instead of like 7 turns for the other Gojos, he actually leaves in 9 turns. If I'm not correct, he gets an additional 2 turns to do whatever he wants. So that is something very nice for this Gojo, right? That makes him a little bit extra special. Now, skill 1 here, Converge and Strike at level 1. Deals melee combined damage equal to 285 taijutsu and 90% jujutsu, so more so on physical, less so on jujutsu, 3 hits, and then if your skill restriction status is active, decrease the select enemy's critical hit resistance by 15% for 2 turns, basically meaning they'll take extra crit damage from, or there'll be easier time to basically crit the enemy, basically. Now, at level 10, we're looking at 380 physical and 120 jujutsu, and then the crit hit resistance is still the same, so not too bad, just more so the damaging skill really is all it really is. Now, skill 2 here, it's Curse Technique Lapse Blue, 1 curse energy. One nice thing about this Gojo too is that even though most of his skills do require curse energy, he just has like the gimmick where it doesn't even fucking matter because it's like they only cost like 1 or whatever, so it's really easy for him to just perform these. But basically, at level 1, what the skill is doing is that you're dealing 352 range jutsu damage to all enemies, so this is an AoE hit on skill 2, and decrease all enemies damage dealt by 16%, or technically like 17% for 2 turns, and if skill restriction status is active, skill cannot be used. So basically, if you do have this skill, or if your skill restriction status is active, then you can't do this skill basically, but the skill is pretty good because you're doing AoE damage, and you're also reducing the damage dealt by the enemy, which is really, really good because it's overall damage specifically, right? Now at level 10, we're looking at 530 ranged jutsu damage, and now we're looking at 25 reduction of damage dealt. And then at level 8, it's 23 damage reduction, and then 490 AoE. So that's still pretty good, right? Specifically, right, Jujutsu, right? So this is only Jujutsu skill. Very, very good though, regardless. Now, skill 3, Curse Technique Reversal Red. It's kind of funny because it's blue-red, right? But with this one also 1 curse energy cost. Now, level 1, we're doing 465 range Jujutsu, so this one is also Jujutsu. to select enemy. This one, however, is a single target. And you increase your own Jujutsu stat by 29.7% for 3 turns, so you can stack this up 2 times. And this can become at level 1. It would just say this is 30%. You're getting 60% on the second turn, basically. And then potentially, I guess, 90-ish for like 1 turn if you do use it for 3 turns. Like, 1 turn, second turn, third turn, you get that 90% basically. At level 1, right? And if skill restriction status is active, then of course this skill cannot be used. So it looks like whenever the skill restriction status is active, you can't do skill 2 or skill 3, but you can do skill 1. So skill 1 might be worth. Yeah, skill 1 might be worth. However, you might not get the first. Actually, I'm not too sure, but I think skill 1 might be. What I'm trying to say is skill 1 might be worth to level up just so you get the extra damage, right? Whenever the skill restriction happens, basically. Anyways, going back to skill 3 here. At level 10, we're looking at 700 range jutsu damage and now a 45 jutsu stat. So this one, of course, regardless, right? One you probably want to max out. I mean, even then, right? This is a really good Gojo, so you probably want to max out all the skills. But this is gonna get you a lot of damage, basically. We're jumping from basically like 30% to like an extra 15%. So you're gonna be doing like an extra, a whole lot of extra damage, right? That's gonna be very, very good, basically. And then the ultimate here, ultimate domain expansion, infinite void. Oh, I'll say, I guess real quick before we get to ultimate. At level 8 does do 640. Yeah, 640, and then you get a 41% jutsu if you guys were curious about that. Anyways, now going back to ultimate here. Ultimate domain expansion, infinite void. So this is a domain expansion kind of ultimate, which those are a lot better than regular ultimates, right? So level 1 expands the domain, grants sure hit effect to self, canceled once domain ends, or domain expansion ends, and inflicts all enemies with stun, infinite void status for 2 turns. So guaranteed stun on all enemies for 2 turns, which is very strong. And you also inflict all enemies with infinite void status for 4 turns. Let's see, decreases all enemies' ultimate skill gauge count by 1. That's very good. Prevents all enemies from increasing their ultimate skill count for 4 turns, so they can't. So basically, you basically cut them, get away. You take away 1 gauge of their ultimate, and then if they were at max or whatever, it doesn't even matter at that point, right? They get reduced, and then they can't ult basically for 4 turns. They're stuck. Technically, I guess it would only because the first 2 turns, right? Maybe if there's like a stun immunity kind of gimmick, then that's where this ultimate cuck could kind of come in for the 4 turns, but because the first 2 turns are going to be taken away by the stun, right? Unless they have some sort of stun immunity. But basically, going on from there, now we're looking at increase all enemies damage received by 49.6% for 4 turns. So basically, increase all enemies damage received. So basically, they're going to be taking like a whole bunch more damage, right? I had like literally brain fart there. I had to like think about it for a second, but yeah, basically they're going to take like a bunch more damage. 41% for level 1 is very strong for how much damage you're going to be taking, basically increase, right? And depending on how high urgent business count is, basically like how many turns this Gojo has left before he has to go, right? So depending on how many turns or how high it is, so you want, if the higher it is, I'm assuming the better. Count is when the skill is activated, or basically when the ultimate here. Additionally, increases all enemies damage received by up to 200%. So basically, if you're able to ult with this Gojo within like the first turn or 2, you're able to basically give him a 200% damage increase now, which is very crazy. So there might be situations where you might want to immediately ultimate get domain expansion with Gojo and be able to abuse this 200% increased damage received on top of the stun and all the other good stuff that he's doing here, right? Max increase at count of 6 and minimum of 25 increase count of 1. Okay, so basically, if he only has 1 turn left, you're only getting a 25% increase, but it looks like it works maybe at 6 turns. So even if he has 6 turns left, yeah, because if he has like 9 turns, that means you get like 3 turns basically to build up his ultimate. And then, so I guess, yeah, so it looks like you got like a max of 3 turns if you want to get this 200%. Otherwise, it's going to be a little lower than that, but still pretty good regardless. And then cancels out other domain expansions. That's kind of broken. So I'm assuming that works for ally side and most likely for enemy side, right? So if the enemy has their own domain expansion, his is going to be saying, nah, mine's going to go before yours, or mine's going to overtake yours, basically, right? Because it goes with the lore, right? Whoever has a stronger domain expansion usually wins out, and then the other one gets crushed and canceled, basically. And then activates skill restriction, which, we did see with the previous skills, we mentioned it, for 3 times. So basically, he can't do anything for 3 turns, basically, right? He can't, like, do any of the other, he can't get the other effects of the other skills, basically, right? And they cannot charge own skill gauge for 3 turns as well, so he can't build up his ultimate while his domain expansion is going on. And then increase own urgent business count by 1. Okay, that's cool. So if he has like, so it looks like if that's the case, if he has like one turn left and you do the ultimate here, he gets one more turn after that, after he does the domain expansion here. So he'll be able to stick around for one more turn after he does his domain expansion. In a skill restriction status, some skills cannot be used and decreases by 1 at the start of each turn. So yeah, basically that's how that works. Now at level 10, now we're looking at the base increased damage increasing to now 100%. Okay, so it looks like all you're really getting out of the ultimate here, so he's doing no damage on the ultimate. However, he is basically just like, you know, cucking the enemy. They're not gonna be able to do anything to you for like 4 turns, technically 2 turns. And then he's increasing the damage received by up to a maximum of 200%. Otherwise, it looks like the minimum is going to be like 125 or something, right? Because the base amount is 100, and then you get an increased amount here. So if you only have 1 turn left of Gojo still being around, then it becomes 125. But then if it's like the max, then you get a max of 200. So still pretty good though. I think this one's definitely worth leveling up. Kind of interesting. I thought this ultimate would do damage, but no, it doesn't. But I mean, hey, with all the debuffs it does, does it really matter? Does it really matter? Plus he's going to be able to do a lot of damage off of skill 3 and skill 2 here, right? So these two are going to be the ones you're going to want to rely on. Definitely a character you probably, and I'm assuming many of you will want to fully max skill, you know, to like level 10, right, on all these skills. Very, very good here. Now his combo ultimate here, he deals 128 melee, or not 128 range jutsu damage with ally, and then increase own and allies break damage with 20% for 2 turns, so nothing too crazy. Now he has a couple auto skills here. So the first one here, urgent business, which we just talked about at the start of battle, grants urgent business status to self for 9 turns, so I was right about that. And urgent business status, once urgent, yeah, so basically when it's gone, he leaves. Everything that the other Gojos have, except this time this Gojo has 9 turns instead of, what was it, like 7 turns for the other ones. And he has zone state. When black flash is performed, activate zone state for 3 turns. Oh, that's cool. So it's the same thing as Itadori here. And zone state basically is when you activate it on black flash, you're increasing your own jutsu by 30%, so you have more damage from him. And he has an extra 30% crit rate bonus from that too for 3 turns, so that's very good. And limitless technique at the start of battle, grant immunity, attack immunity to self, and if skill restriction status is active, cancels out attack immunity. Okay. So at the, yeah, so he's basically can't be attacked, but then if you have skill restriction status, then it says it cancels out attack immunity. So I guess that maybe means that he can get attacked at that point, I guess, unless it means something else, but I'm not too sure on that one. Anyways, yeah, very good. very good. Very broken, because there's no other characters that like has a guaranteed stun for 2 turns and all this other good stuff, right? So yeah, this Gojo is very, very strong, and I can see 100% why he's like one of the best supports in the game, right? His main thing, of course, is applying the debuffs and actually doing pretty good damage on his own with his other skills, but he's not really applying any buffs to the team, right? But it doesn't really matter, because, you know, the debuffs he does apply to them are very, very strong. So 100%, of course, do summon for him. He's very worthwhile, guys. You want to get him. Now, going to a tier list here for the recollection bits that we got cooking up. We do have this Maki one that is on his banner. It is a SS tier utility one, and then the other one from the event itself is actually, if I remember quickly, it's a A tier damage one that's mixed damage, because this Gojo is a little bit mixed, but he's more so for jutsu. Now, going over what they do. So here's the one from the gacha banner. It's 50-50. When command skill, or so if you do anything, basically the skills or ultimate, increase all allies' ultimate skill charge or gauge charge rate by 10% for 2 turns, and increase all allies' damage dealt by 15% for 2 turns, which is very good, actually. Okay. And then if you have 1 dupe into it, at start of battle, increase all allies' critical hit chance by 10%. Okay, that's very nice. And then we have 3 dupes added into it. Now you're getting a was a 15% charge rate for your ultimate, and now you're giving everybody a 20% damage dealt for 2 turns. Yeah, this is very strong. Basically, you're gonna be able to help all your allies do more damage, and you're gonna be able to give everybody just a flat extra 10% crit rate, which is gonna be very useful. Now here's the one from the event itself. This one is also 50-50. Let's see, yeah, and then the numbers are the same. This one also same thing. When you do a skill or ultimate, increase own damage dealt by 65% for 1 turn 1 time. So basically with the ultimate, only for yellow type characters though, and increase own damage received. Increases own damage received by 70% for 2 turns disadvantage. Okay, that's interesting. And at the start of wave, you have 1 dupe into it. At the start of each wave, you decrease all enemies' critical hit resistance by 20% so for 5 turns. Okay, so basically they're gonna be easier to crit. And then at full dupes or 3 dupes, you get now a 70% damage dealt. But the downside, of course, is they still have the increased damage by 70% for 2 turns. Yeah, this is kind of good, but kind of risky, because you're gonna take like a lot of fucking damage from this, but you're getting a 70% damage boost off of that, which is kind of nice. If some of you guys don't have like adult time or something, Yeah, this one's a little bit risky though. I'm pretty sure this is for yellow Itadori though, because the whole yellow effective yellow thing, and you know, yellow Itadori is like DPS character. I mean, this might not be good on him. I kind of forgot Loki what he does, but because I remember all these yellow Itadori that does the damage, right? But I'm assuming this is going to be really good on him regardless, right? There might be some other characters that like have innate like revive or innate like dodge or something that this could work with them as well, so they don't have to worry about getting this debuff here. But yeah, honestly, like low-key not bad. If you don't have like a adult time or something, this wouldn't be that bad of an option. On the downside, you have to be worried that you might die, you know, a lot sooner, but yeah. And then that's pretty much about it, you know. Next week we do have the start of the JJK Zero movie collab, so you guys are missing Yuta. There's your chance for that. All I have left to really say though, guys, is good luck with your summons. You know, this Gojo is really fucking good, really worthwhile. If you get the Recollection as well, that was also a very worthwhile pickup. But yeah, I guess the last very final thing I can say is that once you do get this Gojo and you don't have Yuji, it might be a good idea to get that Yuji as well, because that Yuji is very, very good. And at that point, I'd say you can either save and wait for Yuta next week, or if you don't have Yuta, maybe you want to get Gojo first, then Yuta, and then Itadori. That wouldn't be a bad idea either. And then other than that, make sure you guys are aware of that Sukuna is coming out in like 3 more weeks or something from now. And he's like the best DPS in the character in the game, right? So just keep a lookout for that. Just make sure you're careful with your summons. And yeah, good luck with your summons regardless. Peace and take care, everybody.